Hello,
Hey.
Dan. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Max. Hey, everybody who's watching us.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I say that in a very, very non-creepy way, completely innocent. Yeah, everybody was watching us in a very innocent way. How is everybody? Welcome to another exciting edition of the mainstream, where, we talk about mainstream adoption of blockchain technology, and we have our mainstream guests, uh, so to speak. And today it's really great. It's a first mainstream in a while. And today is especially awesome because we have Maximiliano from BIS on with us. So say hi to everybody, Max.
Hi, Dan. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be in the mainstream with you guys.
Well, thanks for joining us. And by us, I mean me, because you could say that joining our group, you and me.
All good.
Yeah, our group. Yeah. It's I'm just gonna go on a little tangent right now. Me and my wife were watching this like dating show, Love is Blind. It's like our show that we watch together. And it's like a reality show where couples meet and then
Yeah.
they don't see each other, and they talk to each other, and then they supposedly have to pick a partner to marry. Yeah,
Yeah.
and after they pick a partner, they have these interactions where they're supposed to be just talking to each other in a very intimate way, but actually we're always laughing at that because it's like, oh, it's so intimate, it's just the two of them and like three camera people. Yeah, but here we have just the two of us, me and Max, and our trusty webcams, and we're gonna talk about some mainstream stuff. So Max, first and foremost, can you just give us a bit of a background on yourself and on your conglomerate?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Dan. I'm Maximiliano Kekseli from BIS Integraciones. For over 15 years, we have been in the forefront of the renewable energy and large-scale solar projects in Argentina. We specialize in designing smart modular solutions that make the energy solar more accessible and scalable. One of our biggest innovation is what we call the all-in-one solar pack, a plug-in system that consolidates all the critical components into a single, easy-to-install unit. This model drastically reduces cost and speed up deployment, and what is more important, simplify financing by making solar a reality for business and communities. But the thing here is that Argentina doesn't have an energy generation problem, it has a transmission problem. All over the years, we built in Argentina solar plants and all the money was spent on generation, but the grid can't keep up. Cities have been forced to rely on expensive generation just to keep the lights on. That's where distributed generation and solar clusters come in. Instead of waiting for $1 billion infrastructure upgrades, we can break down large projects into modular interconnected hubs, each one independently financed and easy deploy. What used to be a big $20 million energy project for a single entity, we can split up into 20 solar operational units, making financing and implementation way more easy. And today the timing never has been better. With the real energy prices, note import restriction and better banking liquidity, Argentina is primed for a renewable energy revolution. These constraints happens not only in Argentina, that's something that is happening in all Latin America. And that's why our model is expanding nowadays to Ecuador, to Paraguay, to Colombia. Providing decentralized solar energy isn't just a possibility, it's something that is happening. And now with the strategic partners like Cengele Global and Palmyra, we're taking things to the next level, integrating blockchain, tokenization, and new financial models to push the boundaries of what is possible in energy, traceability, and finance. That is the main.
Yeah, and you know that's interesting. You know what else? You are a Cardano community member. Isn't that right? You're a Cardano.
For sure. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I really a big fan of the community. I always push ideas to the community. I interact so much. I strongly believe in that and the advantage of the Cardano network against other networks.
Yeah, that's great. You know, that's great to actually. I mean, while your business is a mainstream business, you know, it's really good to know that you do understand what Cardano is about. You understand what the ecosystem is about, which actually makes it that much more interesting for us to really be working with you. And so, I believe the first time we met was at the Endeavor launch. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it.
Yeah. And I remember actually kind of thinking about your solution. So in a way, and I guess maybe that's one of the reasons why you're into decentralized ledgers is because you're kind of using a decentralized solution for bringing energy. That's right.
That's right. When we have that meeting in that convention, I never thought about my model decentralization with the DeFi model and Cardano. But when we were talking about, we say we have two main points that we conceive those different business with the same philosophy. That is why they are so suitable to interact themselves.
Well, forgot to unmute myself while that happens. And you know what? Actually, no. I was just speaking to everybody telepathically through my mind. Okay, so I didn't forget anything. Yeah. That's the ticket, as John Lovitz loves to say, or used to say. I guess he still says it. Anyway, yes. So it's very exciting. We signed an MOU. Right. So we signed an MOU a little while ago. So we're working together. This is a very interesting field because, as many know, Zengate went down to Argentina to let them to, basically engage in the energy sector because one of our main goals over there was to onboard lithium mining onto Palmyra and on Cardano. And of course, lithium is part of the energy sector. It's used in a lot of EV, and I mean, everything. So yeah, this is the connection here. Now, let's talk a little bit about. Okay, we're going to talk about the MOU and the nature of the MOU in just a bit, but. What I kind of want to dig into here is and talk to you about is how does blockchain come into this? Where do you see blockchain coming into to basically what you're doing?
In blockchain, I see that blockchain is a game changer because it creates transparent and tamper-proof systems where every transaction is recorded in real time. In our renewable energy project, this means we can track every kilowatt per hour generated and use with total transparency, no hidden numbers, no guesswork. Then comes tokenization, but basically turns energy assets in digital tokens that can be easily traded and used as collateral for finances. The real magic happens when we combine with smart contracts, the automate payments, track performance, and adjust financing terms without middlemen, making everything faster, safer, and more efficient.
Yeah, see that actually that really makes a lot of sense because my problem, and I think many people's problem with the current legacy energy system is that even in developed economies, like say in Japan, right? I get a bill and I look at the bill and I'm just like, how did this happen? Like, why am I paying this much money for this energy this month? It doesn't seem like I used that much. I mean, well, okay, so maybe I used that much, but then prices change according to season. You got the taxes and everything. And I mean, all of this. Okay, I understand that these things might not or might be necessary, but I just want to understand better how it comes about. And there's a lot of gray area in the way this stuff is reported because it's just reported. You kind of get after the fact information a lot of times, with a lot of power companies, and and I also think that, look, if I did use that much energy, I did, but I just want to be able to kind of have some options. Like, for example, one of the problems and why I really like your solution is that it brings options for sustainability and for kind of independency in a way. Because, okay, so for example, right, most people are used to really just one energy company that really does everything in their region. Even in Japan, like out here, we have a company called Kansai Denroku, which is basically the local local energy company. And so everybody, I think it's KEPCO. Yeah, it's KEPCO is a Kansai, Kansai energy company. And these guys, I mean, sometimes they play really stupid, games. And this is not just Kansai. I had power companies in the US do the same thing. They play these games where they overcharge you, or they back charge you, or they one of the things about the way the stuff is structured in Japan is that they they will mix up the bills. So for example, you'll send a payment in and they'll apply it to the newest bill, but then there's going to be another bill in the background that it hasn't been paid, and then they're going to send you a shut-off notice, and then you're like, well, what do you mean? I just paid all the bills. Oh yeah, but you didn't pay the one from 4 months ago. Like, well, then why did why did I just pay all the other ones and you didn't apply to the most outstanding one? And yeah, I mean, these are okay. So these could, of course, can be avoided by, if you just do like extra oversight over their stuff. But really, it's cumbersome. And really, if you have solutions like yours, if you have, first of all, a way to really kind of decentralize, audit, immutably audit this, and really create incentives out of this for people to utilize, like you said, with being able to create vehicles for financing and things like that. I mean, that's a lot more attractive. I just think that that's a really good model.
There's two axes that we can analyze. One is in the traditional model where energy is produced by generators, distributed by transport and distributors, and the user, the industry or the consumer, use the energy. Where accountability, as you said, is a problem, and there's no way to track back, because you receive the energy from the distributor, but you don't know what happened with the generator, and you are not sure of what they charge you is what effectively happened, because now nobody can go to the meter in a building and know what happens to their account. You have to, it's something about faith, about to believe of the distributed company. But things get more interesting when you go to the new models, when you take the generator and put it close to the consumer, taking out the distribution, the transport lines, and also because these solar panels can go directly to the factories. When you go, you are the owner of the solar plant and you are the owner of the factory. That's something simple. You buy the solar panels, the all-in-one equipment, and that's it. But when you need capital for this, and maybe there's interesting opportunity for you and I to invest in the plant of a third party, we have to have accountability because we are gonna get paid with the revenue share of that electricity consumed by the factory. And here's where the blockchain, Cardano, and Palmyra platform takes a crucial effect in these models, because the owner of the plant is different to the one that consumes, and there's no regulatory entity in the middle. So in order us to give money to invest in this solar plant, we need accountability of that energy, and there's no other way to use this technology to develop. And that's one only we are talking in one plant, one consumer, but we are working in what we call solar clusters. We are doing the same for example, industrial parks, where there is 20 industries, and as they don't have enough power for the grid, we're installing, for example, 20 all-in-one generators. And things get more complicated because you have 20 industries, you have 20 generators, there is capital allocated in different ways. Who owns these 20 generators? Maybe it's not the ones that consume the energy. So you have to have accountability, a complicated accountability of each generator, what energy generates, who is the property of each generators, and who are the ones in a determined month, for example, that consume that energy. That in the traditional economy was accounted or was studied and distributed by the company, the energy company. But that now doesn't exist in this model. So everybody has to have a system that can be fixed, can be turned around, and traceability and Palmyra and Cengate have the solution for this. We are offering this for last week. I've been in Cordoba with the government of Cordoba and with a lot of guys, and love the solution. And we presented that to be adopted in different provinces, because the problem is not only the energy. As a lot of communities don't have the grid power, if they don't resolve these problems, industry can't continue growing. It's something that it must be resolved, and it's something that affects all the country. It's not only about saving money. It's about taking out one restraint to the country's growth. The impact is really profound. And I think that we provide with cases or success cases that I think we're gonna be able to do it in the next 6 months. That's something that I think we can talk with the central government, with legislators, and to adopt as a legislation to the Renewable Distributed Generation Act. That's something that is missing. We were talking with a lot of people in the government about this, and we just only have to provide with a success case. But everybody understand this and know that it's a solution.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Actually, what I wanted to talk to you about is Well, I want to talk to you about some of these flagship projects, like the hyperelectric financing in Rio Negro, or the solar park that you did.
Yeah,
Can you give us a bit more
yeah,
kind of information
yeah,
about that? Because that's
yeah,
also very interesting. The financing part is very interesting because I mean, in a way, it's not exactly the same, but if you kind of make that, and this is the, I mean, not you, but I'm just one. If you don't really know this sector as well as say you do, Maximiliano, you can still think about things that are available to like just average retail right now, which is just regular regular solar panels that you put up on your house. I got solar panels on my house. They and actually the person that built this house that I bought
yeah,
it from put the solar panels up there. And a lot of these have these really great incentives where you actually can sell, and this is in the US as well. And this is, in Japan, it happens in Japan as well, where you can for quite a while, for not for quite a while, but for some time, you can sell the unused energy back to the power company, right? And and then of course, they find this loophole. Well, not a loophole. They find a way to screw you out of that as well, because after a while, for some reason, they basically, okay, well, we're only going to pay you money for this amount of time, but after this time, it just basically drops to almost nothing. But we'll still take it. We'll still
yeah,
take the extra energy,
yeah,
but it
yeah,
drops to
yeah,
almost nothing. And I mean, well, okay, so on one hand, I mean, that's kind of BS. But on the other hand, you think about this, well, if these guys are actually paying for what you have, what you generate, right? There is a store of value there. And
yeah,
so, but what they're doing is they're just kind of being, the gatekeepers here. They're saying, well, there is a store of value, but we're the only ones you can sell this value to. And really, that goes back to, and then if you actually make that kind of like mental, like a connection to the whole process, if you're just an average person like me thinking about this stuff, you're thinking, oh, wait a second, yeah, that's right, they're gatekeeping. This is not just, oh well, we're being so nice, we're going to buy your power. Like, no, 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 they're gatekeeping, they're middlemanning this stuff, and they're actually in a way taking advantage of you, because they obviously get this power way cheaper than it's supposed to be, and they're the ones that are actually turning it into a financial instrument. Why should they be, the ones be turning into a financial instrument if you're the one that is providing it? And so that's also why I kind of wanted to really, you know, dig into what you do, because it's so interesting, because you
yeah,
kind of take that to the next level where it should go
yeah,
with
yeah.
these finance projects. So please kind of explain that to us a little bit more.
There's you touch a couple of really hot topics. Let's address each one. First, about the company, energy company that takes your energy. I work a lot with the past two governments in writing the Renewable Distribution Act, where we establish what is the price of the energy that the energy company can or must pay you for the energy that you inject. In Argentina, we calculated that number in the same cost that they get the energy from the CAMESA, that is the national entity that joins together all the generators. So you get the same price that CAMESA gets plus the transport of the cost. But the loophole there for the energy company is that you inject the energy in the peak hour. You get, for example, the major injection to the grid is at 3 p.m., where they need it most and where they charge it most to the customer. So that's one issue that you, as you mentioned, you as a user, you don't have a way to control that. You give it to the maximum value to them, but they don't recognize the maximum value to you. And another thing to address is the financing of all these investments. In Argentina, as you know, all the regulations been very tight for the past 20 years. We had, until Milei came, restriction to export, and we have subsidized to the energy rates. What happened is no incentive for investment in solar or renewable energy, at least for consumers. In Brazil, in the same time, they are being invested for $30 billion. So now in Argentina, we have the good restrictions, we have the opportunities that is profitable and technology viable, but we need an investment at least of $2 billion. So in this kind of crowdfunding or new models can bridge together or bring together financing to distributed energy, not only in solar parks or parks all in one from $1 million investment, but also I'm thinking for the house, for the club, for small communities that they don't have access to finance, and the tokenization and crowdfunding, you can get real value for distributed energy, value for the consumer, but value for the financing part. But to tie those things together, you have to have a system for a new model financing system, and on top of that, you have to have accountability of what is happening. No.
Yeah, so absolutely. You know, this is, I mean, really, and we're going back to what we already said. It's all about transparency, you know, and it's all about kind of being able to scale up and down of what's being done. Now, can you go on a little bit more about, say, you know, Rio Negro?
Yeah, for sure. In Rio Negro, in Bariloche, we have three major problems, three major projects. The bigger one is an hydroelectric financing that we are consolidating what is called the trust fund and issuing bonds to the market in order to get finance. But we also working with the Bariloche city. This is an example of where we are talking recently. Argentina don't have a generation problem; it has a transmission problem. Its maintenance was focused on generation, but transmission didn't keep up the pace. Bariloche, in order to cover that gap, is producing the energy with old gas oil, fuel oil generators. They spend something like $600,000 per month for a power installation that if it would be solar, it would be amortized or return over investment in 1 year. So they are desperate looking for a solution. So here what we are doing is bringing together the community, the municipality, and big industry. The municipality is putting the land, the electric company is doing the connections, and each major industry is buying a all-in-one solar generator that altogether make a cluster, and that cluster will inject the power to the grid. With that investment, we're going to solve their problems, and they're going to have a return of investment in 1 year only for the investment. When you have to do $20 million dollar investment for a community like Bariloche, if it's not supported by the national government, it's impossible. When you do that project divided in 20 entities, and those entities have private entities, it's really easy to get $1 million for each one. So we are working in that project, but we have already discovered something like 30 situations like this that need to be addressed. So that is where we are looking for innovation in financial models.
Yeah, that's that's very interesting. That, I mean, everything you're saying is interesting, but really, the access, the new access to this type of financing, opening up this value, and unlocking this value that is generated, and then being able to actually do something with it. It's pretty amazing. Now, this is actually really a really nice segue into what I want to talk to you about next. And so, this is, of course, this is legacy financing mixed in with some, more agile, modern financing. But let's talk about, say, how you see DeFi fitting into all of this. I mean, do you think that DeFi's got has got a place in this type of financing?
Yeah, for sure.
I personally do. I personally do. I think that
I think that DeFi is a total game changer when it comes to financing energy projects, because it opens doors to potential new world of capital, making easy to finance projects without relying on slow traditional banking systems. But tokenization our energy assets on platforms like Palmyra Pro, we can renewable energy production into digital assets that investors can trade, boosting liquidity and confidence in the market. Bottom line, I think that less reliance on old school financing, more access to capital, and smoother and more efficient way to invest in renewable energy for big institutions or part of the local community. There's something about the value that it's very important to everybody to understand. When you have a big plan, a big solar plant, $200 million investment, there's two main rates or two main part of the equation that you have to see: the capex, the value of the capex, and the revenue rate. Those two parts of the equation defines the return on investment or the net value of the project. When you have a big project, your construction cost is 1 million per megabyte, and you get reward in LATAM in average in $50 per megawatt hour, and gives you a return on investment of 10%. But when you do these models of decentralized generations, you get the capex at the same time, but you get the revenue at the double of it, to $80 or to $100 per megawatt hour. So your return of investment gets, instead of 10%, to 20 to 25%. So it's very interesting for investors, but they have to have a tool in order to accountability of what is decentralized, and you have to have the means of DeFi models in order to inject capital on these projects. Both things go together. The real world asset opportunity in renewable energy are there. We have to continue working in bringing those worlds that appear to be separate work together. And I think that it's going to be a game changer.
Yeah, I really do think so. I think that Well, first of all, one of the main reasons why, we came up with the idea for Endeavors being a very pivotal part of our ecosystem was because, and again, for this particular program, I don't really, I try not to really kind of, shill our products too much, but I think it's really in context here because, really it's all about access, and it's all about access to opportunities that were just not available to the average retail investor before. The average retail investor, okay, the closest they could really get to that was to go and buy some solar panels and sell their electricity to the power company, as long as the power company buys it from them, and at whatever rate the power company buys it from them. The average person that does not have access, or did not have access to something like this, where you can have these really interesting and complex financial tools built around a decentralized power grid that is sustainable, that is environmentally friendly, and it's viable, because that's also one of my main objections, I guess you could say, to anything that throughout the years, that was thrown at us that was supposedly, environmentally friendly. I was always saying that we will eventually switch to electric cars. We will eventually switch more and more, move more and more away from, older ways of generating power, like coal, even nuclear, and more towards solar, more towards, all these other means that are more sustainable, I guess, in a global environmental type of way. If you want to, even, regardless of what your stance is on global climate change and things like that, just in general, setting up these systems that are more advanced. The main thing is that I've always stuck to, and I still believe, is that it has to be economically viable. You cannot force these things on people. You cannot mandate that, no, you have to have a solar panel on your house or else you get fined. Or else you just don't get, people are not going to like that.
Yeah. You have a.
And in the end, you're not going to get the world to do this. So in the end, people will find a way to do what they want to do. So those countries that you're going to force to do things a certain way, you're going to have other countries going to say, oh, you know what? In this country, you're not going to have to do this stuff in this way, and the business is going to move there, because that's how free market works. But really, with these technologies, what I think is happening is what you're doing, Maximiliano, is really making them economically viable. This makes sense. Why would I do this? This makes sense to me because, look, you can, number one, decouple yourself from this juggernaut of these traditional power companies, which are always a pain in the ass. Doesn't matter where you go, they're always a pain in the ass. Yeah. In the US, they were the same. Out here in Japan, they're the same. They're always the same. It's always a headache dealing with them. See if you can decouple from them. And even with the solar panels that I have on my house, I'm still attached to the power company because I just don't generate enough electricity with my panels. Now, granted, I could, but then that's a bigger investment, and it just never stops, But and then what? What am I? Okay, so I'm saving some extra money on power, and then what? And so that's why I think it is so important to have solutions like yours, and to really kind of give people an understanding of this. It's not just about saving money on power. It's also about independence. It's also about these financial tools that are generated from this that you already should have had at your disposal. You just didn't know it. You just didn't know that this is something you already had at your disposal because of the way that system is structured. So now you have this. Now you also plug in DeFi into this, and you give easier access to capital. And like I said, without really shilling anything that we have too much, Endeavor was really built around that to give those opportunities to people. And so now you can utilize systems like Endeavor, where you can crowdfund through these more agile means and bring value back to the people through more of these agile means. You can circumvent these, the pencil pushers that are gonna take so much time to give you the most limited amount of money possible, that you might lose the opportunity. and the average person just won't have that access. So all of these things are great, and I'm really, really excited about this. Now, of course, what we always have to be realistic about is support from the jurisdiction and from the legacy system, but more importantly from jurisdictions, from governments. And so you said that you did from regulators, you know, from all of these different entities that you really do have to work with. You can't just circumvent them. So how, let me ask you this. So how, what challenges have you faced dealing with this, with regulators, and what are the challenges, especially having to do, because we all know that, you know, this, you know, decentralized financing, regulators just love to hate it, right?
Yeah.
And especially if it impedes on the way they already make money. So how do you go about it? What are the challenges, and how have you solved some of these issues that you faced?
First, I'm going to give you a general vision of the regulation, inertia, and define. Argentina, one of the biggest challenges is dealing with outdated regulatory framework that hasn't kept up with the rapid advances in technology and decentralization. At the same time, we have President Milei, an innovator and stronger supporter of the crypto ecosystem. This creates a unique and dynamic environment, while the regulatory landscape remains unclear. There is also real opportunity to shape policies to foster innovation. However, all in the industry knows the technical side of crypto can sometimes make difficult to separate signal from noise. A good example in our country is the Libra case, where even Milei, who I believe was misled into making a misstep. This highlights the complexity of navigating in crypto regulation in real time. Despite these challenges, we believe that real progress is possible by working alongside with industry figures like Vitalik, like Charles, and experts like you from Cengate. We can contribute to develop the regulatory framework that balance innovations while keeping security and trust. I want to make a disclaimer on this because I have the honor of work for Milei administration. I can personally vouch for his integrity and commitment. That said, these are my personal opinions, not the necessary of the government views. The journalists, there's a big fight here. But the opportunity is great, but we need the support of key figures, have real impact in the crypto world on the crypto side. On the energy side, one thing that you say is the key thing is you can force markets to adopt a technology, neither nor energy solution nor DeFi. You have to find a necessity that these technologies can address and solve. And this is the case. And one thing, in order to support your vision, is Argentina and Brazil. In 1917, the solar technology was mature, but Argentina has not the real tariff. So we saw an investment of 30 billions in decentralized renewable energy in Brazil, and in Argentina there weren't a stimulus for that, and we saw zero investment on that area. So I agree. I totally agree with your vision. Now in the solar energy and the energy sector in Argentina, there is opportunity. And we are addressing that with decentralized clusters and decentralized tokenization and financing models.
Yeah, it's that's something that a lot of people, especially in crypto, because in blockchain and crypto, things feel like they move really fast, right? And you have this kind of almost like a bubble. Well, not almost. We have a bubble where you have these things move fast, and then people think that everything else around it moves fast, right? And dealing with regulators is just not easy, and especially if you want to do things in a regulated way so that it's sustainable and long term. And that is key. It's very important to be able to work with regulators on a to have a relationship with them where they're not working against you but working with you, because they understand that what you're doing is important. They just need to kind of make up that framework. They need to kind of check all the checks off in their check off all their boxes, but they make it so it's doable, so that it's workable. And also I mean, it also what you mentioned about Javier Milei. That's also something I observed on social media. As soon as the Libra thing hit, all these people that everybody was talking how he's like, oh man, this guy is amazing. He's like the savior of Argentina and the savior of crypto. And then as soon as this thing goes down, I see all these people just like jump ship. Oh yeah, no, this guy's finished. This guy's finished. Like, no, this guy is not finished. Not everything is in black and white like this. Give me a break. I mean, like, are you telling me that all the good that this guy has done? And again, I don't want to get political here, okay, because I'm sure that these people are not crazy about him, but this is my personal observation. I'm not Argentinian. I'm looking at this from the outside, but I see him doing good, and I see this, and I don't see this being spoiled by somebody issuing some shit coin and misleading the guy. I don't think I don't think he would act in a malicious way. I don't have the information, but that's just my personal opinion. I don't see him acting in a malicious way. So I think that it was a miscalculation on his end. Yes, I'm not saying he's totally innocent. He should have made a better decision, but that doesn't mean that it then validates all the other good that he has done for the country and all that he's still doing for the country. So so I just think that our ecosystem is a little quick to jump on and off the ship, and we should really kind of chill with that, and we should really do what you're doing and try to kind of bridge the two together and understand that you're going to have to work with the regulators. You can't just circumvent them. You can't fight them endlessly, and it's something that's needed. Now let's kind of talk a little bit before we have a segment, actually a rapid fire segment that we're going to do right the end here, but I just want to really quickly touch on, well, first of all, what is your 10-year goal? Where do you see your operation being in 10 years, and how it's tied into what we're doing together?
What we have to do, or our goal, is all the things that we have been talking, is to pass through regulation, adapt to regulation, adapt to the market, and have real impact on communities. I think that we can achieve in a shorter period of time, but what I see is a world with real world assets get tied with DeFi and other tools and potential themselves in order to grow.
That's very cool. I'm just really looking forward to working with you. I'm really looking forward to seeing your dream grow, and I think it's a really great dream. I think it's not just a dream, it's reality now. So I really think it's a really good reality that you're building, and I'm just glad that we're a part of it. So listen, Maximiliano, like I said, we have a little segment we always do at the end. It's called rapid fire. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. Let's see, how many questions do I have here? I have 6 questions. Okay. And then you're supposed to be like really fast, right? So fast responses. don't get self-conscious, whatever, just get them out, right?
Yeah.
Let's make it fun. Let's
Yeah.
have some fun. Okay. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's start. One word to describe blockchain's role in renewable energy.
Transformative.
Awesome. Tokenization or traditional financing. What's the future in that?
Tokenization. That's an easy one.
All right. Awesome. All right. Agree. Agree. Big time. If you could tokenize any energy asset, what would it be?
Solar power generation.
Really? You don't say. It's almost like you do that for a living. Wow. Anyway, all right. More disruptive. What is more disruptive? DeFi or regulatory innovation? Now think about this one.
DeFi.
DeFi. Okay. Yes, I agree with you here, but the other one is needed. But yeah, okay.
No. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, I agree. Okay. All right. Biggest misconception about blockchain in energy.
That it's overly complex.
That's very interesting. Yeah, actually, yeah, it is. That's a good that's very good. Yeah. Okay. And last one. Okay. If blockchain and energy had a theme song, what would it be?
Imagine.
Yeah. A theme song. So like, what would the theme song be?
Imagine.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The Beatles. Oh, I love that song. Great choice. All right. Max, you got through this like no problem. Like you're the master. You're the master of rapid fire. I mean, yeah. I don't even know how you did it. I couldn't have done it better. Yeah.
It's been a pleasure. Always it's a pleasure to talk with you, Dan. I think we have a lot of work ahead, but I really believe that we are working in a game changer for the industry, setting new global standards. So I'm very eager to continue working with you and your team, and all our ideas, putting that to earth and showing to the world that this is not only a dream. These things can perform and change the world.
I mean, you get no argument from me on that, and I really gotta, we are, of course, a commodity platform, right? We're a commodity-based platform, and then, of course, and it might be obvious to some, it might not be obvious to others. When we say lithium, they say, okay, the lithium is the commodity. When we say gold, when we say Ceylon tea, they say, okay, the tea is the commodity. But they'll say, okay, solar panels, what is the commodity here? And the commodity here is energy.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yeah. No, you are right, because that's the point. The point is not the instrument, because the product is the energy, not the panel.
Yeah, I mean it's so obvious, and of course it's not your traditional legacy commodity, but the thing is that it's still a commodity. It's still it's still something that we can
Sure.
tokenize, that we can fractionalize, that we can even index, and we can trade. And with the help of yours, with the help of what you're doing, it makes, it really kind of gives it, quantifies it. That's the word. It quantifies it, and it gives it definition. And that's what I love about what you do. It's really the quantification. Yeah, I guess that's the way. Yeah, the quantification of energy as a commodity, as an asset, and not as this like thing that's out there that's making the dark, not dark.
Yeah. And what you say is the fact, the item is the energy, but without the tokenization and the blockchain tools, they can't be see that way. So are two words that are meant to be together.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Maximiliano, it was a pleasure to have you on. This has been a really, really good conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan. It's been a pleasure, and we keep up.
Excellent. Well, guys, okay, let's rewind this. Okay, hold on. Well, guys, I guess this is all we got for you, but I can't say it right. You know what I'm trying to say. Look, this has been great. Great to speak to Maximiliano. Great to finally do a proper episode of the mainstream. Many, many more to come. Thank you all for tuning in. And, well, and once again, this is Dan coming to you barely alive, but still kicking from Japan. Signing off.
Bye-bye.